You want freedom, not just the kind printed on paper or deposited in digits, but the kind you can feel in your chest when you wake up at 4:45 a.m. and your soul is still silent. The kind of freedom that no employer, no inflation, no politician, and no bank can touch. You want liberation from the mental treadmill, the one society spins fast enough to blur your vision and make you forget your original destination. And I tell you today, with neither apology nor hesitation, you will never escape the rat race until you master your own mind. The true prison is not your 9 to 5. It is your dependence on emotion. It is your addiction to reaction. It is your refusal to become the master of your thoughts. Success is not a matter of external circumstance. It is a question of internal arrangement. If your inner world is chaotic, your outer world will mirror that disorder in painful detail. If you crave comfort more than command, you will always belong to another man's schedule. But if you resolve once and for all to detach from the noise, discipline your thinking, and assume complete control over your responses, you will become what only a small portion of humanity ever dares to be: free. Now listen, and listen with the part of your mind that is still sober from distraction. You have been taught to respond to life emotionally, but emotion, left unchecked, is a traitor in the court of decision. It makes fools out of geniuses and slaves out of kings. If you allow emotions to govern your actions, you forfeit your power. But if you command your thoughts, you command your future. This is the first secret, the first rule to escape the rat race. Rule 1. Emotions are tools, not masters. The average man reacts. He hears a word, he explodes. He sees a slight, he sulks. He feels uncertain, he retreats. His entire existence is governed by the weather patterns of his emotional sky. But the man who rises to the top, the man who leads his own life instead of being led, he does not live by emotion. He uses it. He does not kill it. He does not deny it, but he disciplines it, like a chisel disciplines a block of marble. Because when emotion becomes your master, reason becomes your prisoner, and there can be no wealth, no achievement, no transformation without reason in command. I tell you, every fortune built in silence, every empire carved by vision, every revolution of mind or money began with a man who refused to obey his feelings. He learned the difference between response and reaction. Reaction is the instinct of the undisciplined. Response is the action of the master. When you detach from the initial wave of feeling, you create space, and in that space, you forge power. A king never speaks in haste. A general never moves in anger. A builder never acts on impulse. Why should you? If you cannot control yourself, then your boss controls you. Your spouse controls you. Your critics control you. Your likes and followers control you. And you remain a worker in the factory of your own prison. But if you rule your emotional life, if you stop worshiping comfort, validation, and immediate gratification, you rise. You rise because no one can shake a man who governs his reactions. And so, I say it again, plainly and with fire, emotions are tools, not masters. Use them, but never serve them. Rule 2. Mental discipline is more valuable than talent. If I could give every man $1 million or a disciplined mind, I would give him discipline. Talent is a gift, but discipline is a weapon. It is self-forged, self-sharpened, and self-directed. No one can take it from you, and no one can give it to you. Without discipline, a genius drowns in his own ideas. Without discipline, a rich man loses his kingdom to indulgence. Without discipline, the morning is wasted, the energy is scattered, and the opportunity is missed. Mental discipline is the governor of greatness. It is the gatekeeper that decides who rises and who rots. Discipline is not punishment, it is power. It is the ability to say no to yourself, not once but daily, hourly, moment by moment. It is the decision to put first things first, to delay what you want now for what you truly desire most. The mind, like a muscle, grows only under resistance. You do not strengthen it by indulging it. You strengthen it by mastering it. Ask yourself, how many times have you known what needed to be done, but your emotions said not now? And how many times have you obeyed them? That is not a life of freedom. That is a life of silent slavery. To escape the rat race, you must become a spiritual soldier, not in appearance, but in attitude. Your discipline must not depend on mood, motivation, or weather. It must depend on principle. Because the undisciplined man is always working for the disciplined one. Always. Rule 3. Define your purpose, or you will be used for someone else's. You were not born to drift. You were not born to spend your life making other people's dreams come true, while yours rot in the attic of excuse. Definiteness of purpose is the root of all achievement. It is the compass, the engine, the flame. It gives meaning to sacrifice, precision to effort, and clarity to decision. The man with a purpose does not fear rejection. He does not chase approval. He does not waste his hours. He wakes up with command in his spine. He sees through the fog. He walks where others hesitate. Why? Because he is not guessing. Purpose is not a passion. It is not a hobby. It is not an Instagram bio. It is a decision to commit your life to something greater than ease. A man without a definite purpose is like a ship without a rudder, subject to every wind, every wave, and every predator in the sea of life. But the man who has chosen his aim and locked his eyes upon it, he becomes immovable. And here is the truth no school will teach you. If you do not define your mission, the world will define it for you. You will be used for others' gains. You will be manipulated by trends. You will be kept just comfortable enough to never rebel, and just distracted enough to never wake up. But the moment you define your purpose, you become dangerous. Dangerous to mediocrity. Dangerous to manipulation. Dangerous to small thinking. Decide what your life is for. Decide what it is not for. And let every thought, every dollar, every morning be aligned with that purpose. You've been lied to about success. You were told it's a result of hard work alone. But let me correct that falsehood with unshakable clarity. Success is not the child of effort alone. It is the consequence of inner alignment. Effort without direction is labor without fruit. Action without mental order is motion without meaning. The man who escapes the rat race is not the one who runs the fastest. It is the one who runs in the right direction with the right mind and for the right reason. And that leads us to a power more subtle than steel, yet sharper than any blade forged by man. The third rule is about shaping the very consciousness from which all action flows. Rule 4. Speak to your mind or the world will. Autosuggestion is not magic. It is law. It is the mechanism by which your mind becomes a magnet, either for victory or for defeat. Every word you repeat to yourself plants a seed in the garden of your subconscious. And like any seed, it does not ask for permission to grow. It simply obeys its nature. If you say, "I am tired," your body will oblige. If you say, "I am weak," your courage will recede. If you say, "I never win," the world will confirm your prophecy. But if you say with conviction, "I am the master of my fate," then every cell, every fiber, every particle of your being will begin to align with command. Autosuggestion is how you train your internal government. It is your private legislation. It is your sacred declaration of who you are becoming spoken aloud, daily, without apology. The rat race feeds you 1,000 voices. They whisper that you are behind. They shout that you must compare. They seduce you with cheap rewards and keep you trapped in cycles of stimulation without transformation. But autosuggestion severs the noise. It is your daily act of rebellion. It is your anchor in a world drunk on distraction. You must speak to your own mind with purpose. You must reprogram it with the authority of a king addressing his court. Because if you don't tell your mind who you are, it will believe the world's version of you. And the world's version is always smaller, always weaker, always more obedient. What do you repeat to yourself? Every day, you are hypnotizing your own mind. The only question is, with what? Never speak a sentence to yourself that a champion would not utter. Never describe your future in terms of limitation. You may be tired. You may be in debt. You may be doubted. But you are not defeated unless you declare it. Autosuggestion is how you rise, when nothing around you offers encouragement. It is how you build unbreakable belief in the silence before success. It is how you train your thoughts to follow orders, not emotion. Command your mind, or be enslaved by the noise of others. Rule 5, train yourself to think accurately. Emotion corrupts, impulse distorts, but accurate thinking cold, clear, and calculated liberates. The average man confuses thought with reaction. He believes he is thinking when he is only remembering or fearing or doubting, but accurate thinking is different. It is the sacred discipline of sorting fact from fiction, signal from noise, and truth from trauma. Let me speak plainly. The world is full of intelligent people who fail. Why? Because intelligence is not the same as discernment. A man can be educated and still deluded. He can have knowledge and still be led like a sheep, because he has never learned to think accurately. Accurate thinking begins with the willingness to confront illusion. It is the power to examine your own assumptions and discard those that no longer serve your vision. And make no mistake, you have inherited many assumptions about money, about time, about success, about yourself. Most of them are untested. Many of them are inherited from the frightened minds of those who gave up on their own dreams. If you do not examine them, you will be ruled by them. Accurate thinking is how you cut through the fog. It is how you see opportunity where others see risk. It is how you remain calm while the herd panics. It is how you make 5 years of progress in one while others waste 10. Ask yourself, is this belief serving my goals or sabotaging them? Is this fear based on fact or fiction? Is this advice from a man who has walked where I want to go or from a man who gave up? To escape the rat race, you must elevate your mental standards. You must become intolerant of vague thinking. You must replace "I feel like" with "I have verified that." You must train your logic like a soldier sharpens his blade daily, precisely, ruthlessly, because a single false idea left unchallenged can cost you 10 years of your life, and your life is too sacred to waste on unexamined thought. Rule 6, power belongs to the calm. It is a strange truth. The more desperate a man becomes, the faster he moves. But the man of power, he slows down, not because he is lazy, but because he is centered. Not because he lacks urgency, but because he does not panic. Understand this principle. Power does not move with frenzy. It moves with precision. The rat race thrives on mental chaos. It wants you reacting. It wants you rushing. It wants you addicted to the illusion of progress, spinning the wheel, panting, sweating, collapsing, only to wake up in the same cage. But the calm mind? The calm mind sees. Stillness is not inaction. It is clarity in motion. Calmness is not apathy. It is mastery of state. To remain calm in the midst of confusion is to possess invisible authority. People feel it when you walk into a room. They sense it when you speak. They obey it without knowing why, because calmness is the scent of inner dominion. A man who cannot remain calm is always dependent on the world behaving a certain way, and when it does not, he breaks. But the man who has trained himself to breathe in uncertainty, to move through chaos with grace, to hold his focus while others scatter, this man becomes a pillar. Others lean on him. Life rewards him. Destiny trusts him. Why? Because he has proven he can be trusted with power. Train calmness like a discipline. Practice it when no one is watching, when your phone dings, when your plans are interrupted, when insulted, slighted, doubted, delayed, remain calm. The universe bends to the will of the man who does not flinch. Rule 7. Personal initiative is the mark of destiny. No one is coming to save you. The sooner you accept that, the sooner you will stop waiting, stop blaming, and stop hoping that the system will one day reward you for following the rules of mediocrity. The man who escapes the rat race is the man who decides to. He does not ask for permission. He does not wait for alignment. He moves. Personal initiative is the bridge between vision and reality. It is the refusal to wait for validation. It is the decision to begin where you are, with what you have, knowing that progress is not born in fantasy but in action. The world belongs to the initiators, not the wishers, not the watchers, not the ones who wait for the perfect moment, but the ones who say, "Let it be me," and step forward. Do not ask the world to make you valuable. Make yourself valuable and the world will not ignore you. Begin before you feel ready, before you have the perfect plan, before the stars align. Begin now. Begin here. Begin small if you must, but begin. Because hesitation is the graveyard of freedom. And initiative is the seed of every revolution of mind, of money, and of destiny. The 7 rules have been spoken, but knowing them is not enough. Every weak man knows what he should do. Every dreamer reads the right books. Every doubter has written a journal of ambitions. What separates the rulers from the ruled, the exceptional from the expendable, is not knowledge. It is embodiment. You must become what you declare. The man who claims mastery but still crumbles under opinion has not detached. The man who recites affirmations but lives in excuses has not disciplined his mind. The man who speaks of purpose but wastes his mornings in comfort is still a servant, clever, eloquent, but enslaved. This is the hidden chapter that most miss. Transformation is not intellectual, it is visceral. It must touch your nerves. It must alter your tone. It must govern your schedule, sculpt your reactions, and break your old habits like a chisel breaks stone. A lion does not read a manual on how to roar, he simply roars. And when you truly own these rules, not as ideas, but as traits, your presence will roar before your words arrive. Let us go deeper now, not into theory, but into transformation. You have received the laws. Now you must inscribe them on your very breath. You must become emotionally invisible to the world's chaos. To escape the rat race, you must reach a point of psychological sovereignty, a moment when your emotional state no longer depends on headlines, trends, bank balances, or the shallow tides of public opinion. Because if the world can still provoke you, it still owns you. If traffic can ruin your peace, if critics can alter your course, if doubt can stall your momentum, you are still chained, no matter how motivational your vocabulary becomes. Freedom is not physical, it is internal independence. You must become unshakable, unreachable by manipulation, untouchable by emotional hooks, not through numbness, but through training. Think of your mind like a fortress. Every time you refrain from reacting, you add stone to its walls. Every time you pause before responding, you place a guard at the gate. Every time you walk away from pettiness, you dig a deeper moat. And one day, the world will knock, but it will not enter, because the key to your peace will no longer hang outside the door. This is not detachment from reality. It is alignment with a higher reality, where your peace is not for sale, where your values are not up for negotiation, where your attention is your currency, and you invest it only in that which multiplies your destiny. You must become emotionally invisible. Let the world project. Let it provoke. Let it collapse. You remain calm, clear, and committed. The world will resist you once you begin to rise. This is the part they never tell you in seminars. Once you begin to detach, the world will try to pull you back. Your friends will misunderstand. Your family will grow uncomfortable. Your old habits will scream for resurrection, because your transformation is an insult to the version of you they got used to. You will be told you've changed. You will be warned that you're being too serious, too intense, too disciplined. Yes, good. That means it's working. Let me make it plain. Every step you take out of the rat race exposes the rats who remain. They don't hate you, they fear what you represent. You are proof that the prison door is not locked. You are a mirror that reflects their excuses. So they will try to shrink you back into your old costume. Ignore them, because if you retreat now, if you yield your destiny for the comfort of conformity, you betray the voice that called you higher. Let the world feel uncomfortable in your presence. That is not arrogance, it is awakening. Greatness always begins with exile. But the exile is holy. It is the womb of reinvention. And when you return not as who you were, but as who you've become, you will not need to prove anything. Your results will speak, your presence will convict, your calm will command. So do not flinch at resistance. It is the echo of your own power awakening. Ruthlessly audit your environment. A lion raised among sheep forgets how to hunt, and a visionary surrounded by cowards forgets how to act. If you are serious about escaping the rat race, then you must become violent with your environment, not physically, but mentally, spiritually, and energetically. You must remove every influence that weakens your focus, drains your willpower, or keeps you addicted to low-level living. Let me speak bluntly. If your circle mocks discipline, change your circle. If your friends normalize escapism, outgrow them. If your home distracts more than it inspires, redesign it. If your phone interrupts your thinking, disable it. You cannot rise while living in the atmosphere of decay. Most people spend more time protecting their routine than protecting their future. They cling to toxic entertainment. They repeat time-wasting rituals. They entertain fools because of nostalgia. Then they wonder why they remain stuck. You must become aggressive in guarding your attention, because attention is life, and every notification, every shallow conversation, every irrelevant drama is stealing your life force. You don't need more motivation. You need fewer distractions. You don't need better friends. You need a better standard. You don't need a new strategy. You need a pure environment, a mental monastery where your thoughts can sharpen like blades. And if you cannot change your environment immediately, then become the resistance within it. Let your presence infect the room with discipline. Let your routine be a silent protest against chaos. Let your progress shame the distractions. You will never build an elite mind in a casual environment. Audit it ruthlessly, relentlessly, repeatedly. Be alone until you are strong enough to choose. The man who fears loneliness is not free. He is still dependent on distraction. He still fears the voice that echoes in empty rooms, the voice of his own unresolved potential. To truly escape the rat race, you must walk through the desert of solitude. And in that desert, you will confront everything you've avoided: your fear, your shame, your wasted years, your hidden brilliance, your forgotten fire. There are no masks in solitude, no applause, no audience. Just you and the truth you've buried beneath years of performance. But here is the paradox. The man who learns to love his own silence becomes magnetic, because he is no longer needy. He is no longer swayed by opinion. He does not chase, he attracts. Why? Because people feel when a man needs nothing from them. And that is the ultimate power. Do not be afraid to walk alone. That is where you discover your pace. That is where you hear your mission again. That is where you recover the pieces of yourself that comfort concealed. Be alone until you are strong enough to choose, not out of fear, not out of habit, but out of alignment. Because when you have walked alone through the wilderness of self, no one can ever chain you again. There is a point in every man's journey where philosophy must become flesh, where ideas must become decisions, where concepts must harden into character, where success is no longer something you speak about, but something you wear in your posture, in your precision, in your presence. You have now heard the rules. You have felt their fire. But now comes the threshold where few cross, the threshold of implementation. This is where the undisciplined fall away. This is where the addicted return to the comfort of consumption. This is where the dreamers become dormant. And this is also where the masters are born. Because what separates those who escape the rat race from those who rot in it is this: one man hears a law and applauds. Another hears the same law and builds his life upon it. Let us now cross into the final ascent, the moment when the rules are no longer spoken but etched into your daily walk, your mental response, your soul's compass. You must eliminate internal permission, seeking. The average man waits for confirmation. He waits for applause before acting. He waits for validation before speaking. He waits for support before deciding. He waits for the green light from people who are not even driving in his direction. And so he waits his whole life, quietly, politely, obediently, while his dream, his edge, his boldness wither in the corner. But hear me now. The man who escapes the rat race gives himself permission. He does not wait to be understood. He does not ask to be liked. He does not beg for relevance in rooms that cannot hold his destiny. He moves first. He speaks first. He builds first. He rises alone, knowing that support will arrive only after proof, but greatness requires beginning before the world agrees. You were not born to be a consensus. You were born to be a command. You were born to blaze a path, not follow one. Stop negotiating your intuition. Stop silencing your boldness. Stop dimming your voice for the comfort of cowards. Give yourself the damn permission. Not because you're perfect, but because you're committed. Not because you're ready, but because you've decided. If you continue to wait until you feel allowed, the grave will arrive before the permission ever does. Escape the addiction to reaction. The rat race is not fueled by hard work. It is fueled by reaction. You react to bills. You react to pressure. You react to insults. You react to trends. You react to opinions, algorithms, and moods. You become a puppet whose strings are pulled by whatever flashes on the screen. And here is the truth they don't want you to know. As long as you are reactive, you are predictable. And if you are predictable, you are profitable to everyone but yourself. Reactive people are ideal customers. They chase comfort, they buy urgency, they scroll endlessly, they live in emotional debt. But the man who escapes the rat race is proactive. He creates direction. He designs his morning. He decides what matters. He doesn't need pressure, he applies it. Reaction is a life of defense. Proactivity is the life of kings. Train yourself to pause before responding. Train yourself to observe without absorbing. Train yourself to think through the long game, not just the instant hit. And when you master the art of being unmoved, you will see the world for what it truly is, a playground for those with patience and foresight. Delay the reward, multiply the power. The rat race is addicted to now. Now pleasure. Now response. Now entertainment. Now result. And so it starves its own future. But success is not for the man of now, it is for the man of next. The man who plants today what he will harvest in 10 years. The man who trains without an audience. The man who saves when others spend. The man who denies the immediate to claim the ultimate. Your brain has been trained to expect the sugar of instant gratification. And if you don't rewire that reflex, you will always chase the dopamine of distraction while your destiny waits behind discomfort. Here is the eternal law. He who delays reward multiplies it. Every time you deny the impulse to quit, you strengthen your will. Every time you stay in the process, you carve your future. Every time you persist while bored, tired, ignored, you separate from the masses. Do not chase the peak. Master the plateau. Because the plateau is where kings are built, not in the excitement of beginning, not in the glory of arrival, but in the silent hours where no one claps, and still you rise. The world is filled with sprinters. Be a distance runner, because those who delay the reward inherit the kingdom. Let your standards terrify your old self. Your future does not depend on luck, it depends on standards. Not just what you want, but what you refuse to tolerate. Not just what you say, but what you will no longer permit. A man's life is a reflection of what he accepts without confrontation. If you tolerate laziness, your dream will rot in comfort. If you tolerate doubt, your confidence will starve. If you tolerate the company of the small-minded, your vision will shrink to fit their limits. To escape the rat race, you must set a standard that hurts your old self. A standard so clear, so high, so unrelenting, that your former identity trembles in its presence. You must become allergic to mediocrity. You must become disgusted by passivity. You must become repelled by excuses the way a warrior is repelled by cowardice. Raise your standard, and your entire life will rearrange itself to meet it. It may hurt. It may cost you friends, habits, and old comforts. Good. Pain is the price of elevation, and you're not here to stay the same. You are here to ascend, and ascension demands that you outgrow your former tolerance for weakness. The world bends to the will of the relentless. There is a force more powerful than talent, more magnetic than charisma, more rare than intelligence. It is the man who simply refuses to stop. Not out of ego, but out of conviction. Not out of fear, but out of clarity. Not because he is better, but because he is relentless. The rat race breaks the average man because he only persists when he's motivated. The man who escapes knows motivation is a spark. Relentlessness is the fire that never dies. You must train your spirit to move when uninspired, to create when unseen, to execute when doubted, to persist when results hide. Relentlessness is not about force. It is about unwavering return. Like the tide, you return. Like the sun, you rise. Like breath, you continue until the world adapts to your rhythm. The universe rewards the man who cannot be discouraged, because that man has become unstoppable not by power but by decision. So decide. Not once, not twice, but daily. Decide again and again that you will not stop until the work is done, until the vision lives, until you no longer chase the life you want but walk in it. There comes a moment in every man's ascent when he must stand still, not because he is idle, but because he must face himself. You can master strategy. You can memorize principles. You can build routines, follow mentors, recite affirmations, and set alarms. But none of it will free you until you confront the part of you that still wants to be rescued. The part of you that still waits for ease. The part of you that still hopes someone else will choose your greatness for you. You must bury that part, not gently, but with the ferocity of a man who has glimpsed his future and will no longer tolerate delay. The final leap is not mechanical, it is spiritual. A declaration from your soul that you are no longer available for smallness. You are done entertaining weakness. You are done rehearsing limitation. You are done playing fair with your old self. And that leads us to the final law, a law not written in books, but carved into the path of every man who ever escaped the cage and built his own kingdom. Make a vow that your old self cannot survive. You must make a vow that your old self cannot survive. A vow is not a wish. It is not a mood. It is not a fleeting surge of ambition. A vow is sacred. A vow is violent. A vow is holy. It is the spiritual line in the sand that says, I will never again return to that version of myself. End of sakes. Not when it's hard, not when it's lonely, not when it's tempting, not when it's convenient. A vow ends the negotiation. A vow shuts the door on escape routes. A vow destroys the safety nets and turns the pressure into precision. Do not just try to be better. Vow to never again be ruled by emotion. Vow to never again need approval to act. Vow to never again indulge mediocrity. Vow to become the man who commands his day with intention, who governs his mind with discipline, who creates with clarity, who speaks with conviction, who rises with or without applause. Because the rat race will welcome you back. It will tempt you with comfort, with distraction, with old versions of you wrapped in new disguises. But the man who has made a vow cannot be seduced. He walks forward with fire in his spine. He speaks with thunder in his chest. He builds silently, powerfully, methodically, because the vow has already decided the outcome. Make the vow. Write it, speak it, live it. Then bury the old self beneath it, and never look back. What you want already exists, but it belongs only to a version of you that must be created. Everything you desire, peace, power, freedom, wealth, focus, joy, greatness, already exists. It is real, it is tangible, it is waiting. But here is the law that governs all reward. What you want already exists, but it belongs only to a version of you that must be created. The life you dream of does not belong to the current you. Not because you're not worthy, but because you are still becoming. There is a version of you disciplined, detached, decisive, who lives that life. He already wakes before the sun. He already trains while others talk. He already builds without begging for support. He already sees 10 years ahead while others scroll in panic. The question is not, can you have the life? The question is, are you willing to become the man who owns it? If yes, then understand. That man is not created by accident. He is created by confrontation, by repeated death to old habits, by refusal to react like the old self, by choosing growth over gratification, by doing the exact thing you avoid until it no longer scares you. He is forged in solitude, refined in resistance, tested in silence, and crowned in stillness. Your new life is not found. It is not given. It is earned by the version of you willing to become unrecognizable to your former identity. If you want the life, become the vessel. This is the last time you start over. You've restarted before. You've been inspired. You've made plans. You've written lists. You felt the fire, and then life happened. You slipped back. You broke the rhythm. You softened your grip. But this time is different, because this time you do not just want to escape the rat race, you are ready to bury it, to torch the tracks behind you, to burn the version of yourself who lived for weekends, survived on validation, and sought comfort more than conquest. This is not a new chapter. This is a new book. A book authored not by reaction, but by response. Not by emotion, but by principle. Not by doubt, but by decision. Let this be the last time you start over, because you are no longer a man who begins based on emotion. You are a man who continues regardless. You are a man who acts, especially when it's hard. You are a man who no longer waits for permission, approval, applause, or alignment. This is the last time you start over, because this is the first time you've decided to never stop. There is no more rat race, only the road ahead. The rat race is not a place, it is a mindset. A mindset of reaction, emotion, comfort, fear, approval, and delay. You have now shattered that mindset. You have pierced the illusion. You have stepped beyond the cycle of survival. And what now lies before you is a road. A road with no finish line, no competition, no traffic. Only forward, only deeper, only higher. You are no longer in the race. You are in command. You are in movement, not from pressure, but from purpose. You are in alignment, not with the world, but with your deepest knowing. There is no more cage. There are no more rats. There is only the next step, and the man who has sworn deep in his bones to take it with power. Walk it. Not tomorrow. Not once you feel like it. Not after one more video, one more scroll, one more excuse. Walk it now, because now is all you have. And the man who commands his now commands his future. Stand still for a moment, not to pause, not to rest, but to witness the ground you now stand upon. You are not the man who began this journey. You are no longer ruled by the opinions of the crowd, nor by the sting of yesterday's failure. You are no longer hypnotized by the false urgency of the system, nor seduced by the glitter of mediocrity. You are awake. You now see the mechanisms behind the masks. You see that most men live on borrowed thoughts, on automated reactions, on artificial urgency. You see that most men are not alive, they are animated, pulled by strings they never question, trapped by beliefs they never chose. You were one of them, but not anymore. You have crossed the line, not just philosophically, but spiritually, biologically, energetically. Your mind now belongs to you, and when your mind is yours, your life follows. The cage is gone. The leash is severed. The whispers of weakness are now background noise. And your voice, your true voice, has returned. Let that voice now speak a vow. Repeat these words into your soul. I vow to never again hand my future to emotion. I vow to never again need permission to rise. I vow to act with discipline, think with clarity, and move with purpose, especially when it's hard. I vow to burn every bridge to my former mediocrity. I vow to be feared by my old habits and followed by my future self. I vow to remain calm in chaos, focused in distraction, and sovereign in a world that worships reaction. I vow to act, not because I feel ready, but because I have decided. This is not motivation. This is not hype. This is my final agreement with destiny, and I will not break it. Let these words become a brand upon your will, because the man who breaks his vow will always return to the cage he once escaped. The man you were will not survive who you must become. The man you were, the reactive, the scattered, the overstimulated, the compliant, he must die. You cannot carry him into your future. He does not belong there. You must let him fall behind, not with sorrow, but with gratitude. He brought you this far. He bore the pain that birthed this transformation, but now his time is over. The man you must become, the composed, the clear, the relentless, the strategic. He is not built by accident. He is carved, chiseled, refined, fired in solitude, sharpened in silence, crowned only after he has mastered the art of obeying principle over preference. This is the sacred passage few cross. Most return to comfort. They negotiate with doubt. They revisit their old addictions and call it balance, but not you. Because you know deep in your chest that the price of freedom is the death of the former self, and you are ready to pay it daily. You have stopped chasing a lifestyle. You have started creating a code. And a man who lives by a code cannot be enslaved. Now you must walk it alone, if necessary, unstoppable either way. Do not look around for companions. Do not expect applause. Do not announce your transformation. The world does not need your words. It needs your example. Let your habits speak louder than your posts. Let your mornings shame their excuses. Let your silence humble their noise. Let your peace challenge their panic. Let your gaze still, unshaken, focused, become a mirror they cannot escape. But whether they see you or not, you keep walking. This path you are on now, it will not always be glorious. It will not always be romantic. Some days it will feel like walking through fog, with no praise, no clarity, and no external confirmation. Walk anyway. Because it is not the world's approval you seek, it is your own obedience to purpose. The real man walks with faith in motion. He trusts the process. He honors the vow. And that is why he becomes legend, not through shortcuts, but through unrelenting self-command. The rat race will try one last time, don't answer. There will come a moment, not today, not tomorrow, but soon. You will wake up tired. The dream will feel far. The doubt will knock on the door. And the voice will return. The voice of the rat race. Come back, it will whisper. Just for a while, just until things settle down, just until you feel better, just until... Don't open the door. Don't even answer. Because you now know the pattern. It always returns when you are closest to breakthrough. It always tempts when you are weakest. It always offers comfort dressed as clarity. But you've already made your vow. You've already decided. You've already severed the leash. You are not going back. Not for convenience. Not for nostalgia. Not for survival. You didn't escape the rat race to visit the cage. You escaped it to build the kingdom. And so you rise not as a dreamer, but as a builder. This is your time. Not the time to fantasize. Not the time to overthink. Not the time to consume more theory. It is the time to execute. Wake before the world. Move with precision. Act on principle. Speak with command. Think with discernment. Reject weakness. Own your time. Build the system that sets you free. And never again beg the system that enslaved you. Let others stay entertained. You will stay disciplined. Let others gossip. You will read. Let others panic. You will strategize. Let others chase. You will attract. Let others react. You will respond. You are not here to survive. You are not here to blend in. You are not here to repeat your parents' fears, your society's script, or your younger self's patterns. You are here to rise, to lead, to carve, to dominate, to master the mind and thereby master the moment, to master the moment and thereby master the mission. This is the end of the rat race and the beginning of your reign. Now go, quietly, powerfully, unstoppably. You do not need one more strategy. You need the standard, and you have it now. You know the rules. You have made the vow. The old self is gone. The man remains. Let the world adjust.